We still have 5 winless teams in the Premier League. 4 of them have been promoted from the Championship in the past 2 years. Here is my take on the Premier League relegation picture. In the interest of fairness, I should start all this by saying that Luton and Burnley's big fat 0 does come with the caveat that they have played 1 game fewer than everyone else after their meeting was put back due to Luton's building work. That said, it is now 3 out of 3 defeats for our 2 promoted teams from last season, and they are propping up the rest of the Premier League table. We covered Luton on the watch-along back on Friday night. They only lost by the odd goal in a 2-1 defeat to West Ham, and it's one of those weird numbers versus eyes games. The numbers are actually pretty good for Luton in terms of chances created and conceded, but having watched the game, my eyes did tell me that West Ham did have a reasonable sense of control despite those numbers. Positive for Luton is that I actually think the Hammers are the sort of side whose defensive structure and profile is actually fairly well suited to the old cliched tough trip to Kenilworth Road on a Friday night. Hopefully for Luton fans, other less robust defensively set up teams will buckle under what was actually some good pressure built up by the Hatters. For Burnley, this weird start of having 3 straight Premier League home games is made even weirder by the fact that they went away to Forest in the EFL Cup and got themselves a win in between their 3 straight defeats. As much as we can play the difficult start card for Vincent Kompany, you'd have to say 11 goals conceded in those 3 difficult games is pretty alarming. It was a superlative hat-trick from Son and a 5-2 defeat at the hands of Spurs at Turf Moor this latest round. The good news is Burnley have had, on average, the majority of the ball over the last 2 games, but they are clearly, at the moment at least, far too easy to score against. It is, though, back off to Forest next week, though, where they won that EFL Cup game a week ago. Can they repeat the trick? Sheffield United and Everton drew 2-2, and we can say a lot of the same things, actually, for both teams. First point on the board for both after 3 straight defeats. First goal for New Blades frontman Cameron Archer. First goals at all for Everton. I was asked by a Sheffield United fan subscriber of the channel if it was okay already to call this a 6-pointer. Honestly, it probably is, and I suspect both sides will think they should have won and will be disappointed not to. Sheffield United faced England keeper Jordan Pickford on a particularly world-class afternoon for him, and Sean Dyche thought Everton's chance creation, coupled with a little bit of bad luck actually for that second Blades goal, was enough that they should have won the game. Only time will tell how significant this game not producing 3 points for either side will turn out to be. It sounds like stating the bleeding obvious though. Teams who are struggling and who are going to struggle tend not to win games, even against each other sometimes. As it stands, goal difference has Everton in the bottom 3 and Sheffield United outside of it. Bournemouth are the 5th and final winless team, but they have collected a point in 2 of their games thus far, the latest in a 1-1 draw at Brentford, and it could have been all 3 were it not for a stoppage time Brian and Mbeumo equaliser. Brentford fans will point to the fact they hit the post twice and that second Bournemouth goal was handed to them by a big mistake from Rico Henry. With all of that being said though, Bournemouth probably are looking a little bit more competitive than the sides below them on the basis of what we've seen so far. And of course, I think we'd all agree it's great to see David Brooks back scoring after the health issues he's had. Chelsea, Brighton and Arsenal up next for the Cherries before another potential big head-to-head with Everton. There you go. Let me know what you think in the comments about the current relegation picture and the current bottom 5. I've always kind of struggled for a way to keep in touch with our dearly departed teams who do get themselves promoted from the Championship. So let me know if you think this type of video might be worth making a regular feature on the channel. And if you're a Forest, Fulham or Villa fan who we've covered before, how can I involve you guys too? Speaking of Forest and Fulham, we did talk about them pre-season, so click here to see what lessons I think this year's crop of promoted teams can learn from the triple survival by last year's heroic bunch.